Hello and welcome to today's webinar, where we will talk about how you can innovate, develop, and commercialize your route to Oracle PLM Cloud. My name is Megan Day, and I'm the Director of Marketing and Sales Operations here at GoSaaS, and I'll also be your moderator for today's webinar. Before we go ahead and get started, I'd just like to go over a few housekeeping items. So today's session is currently being recorded, and you are all in listen-only mode. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to go ahead and type them into the questions tab, and we will be sure to answer those questions at the end of the session. Also, at the end of the session, we'll be emailing out a survey, so we ask for you to please go ahead and fill that out. And so we'll go ahead and cover today's agenda. So we'll talk to you guys a little bit about GoSaaS and who we are and our PLM alignment, as well as our focus as your go-to implementation partner. Tom will go over our Cloud PLM overview today. We will talk about the upgrade journey, as well as our timeline, hybrid approach, and our GoSaaS Migrator product. And we will also talk about our GoSaaS products, which include our employee training system, known as ETS, our environmental governance and compliance, known as EG&C, and our integration. So about GoSaaS. So we are an Oracle Gold PLM and Specialized partner. We've been a top PLM partner for over a decade now. We have productized solutions, which we will cover towards the end of the presentation, and we've completed over 250 implementations. Our employee base consists of over 120 employees, and we have, on time, on budget, 98% project success rate. I think it's probably higher at this point. And we also have a proven implementation methodology to gear towards your company's success. So our focus as a GoSaaS PLM cloud implementation partner at the moment is to convert legacy PLM customers to Oracle PLM Cloud. We are geared to handle legacy PLM to cloud migrations. We're built for this implementation methodology that we've created for years for the cloud. We have a proven success rate for that, and our automated migration process is there to remove execution risks. And like we mentioned before, we have all of our add-on tools and integrations to meet PLM customer needs. So I'll go ahead and turn things over to Tom. Just a brief intro for Tom, if you guys already don't know him. Tom Nelson is a partner here at GoSaaS, and his involvement with Agile PLM and Cloud dates to an early release of the product. He has decades of experience in all aspects of manufacturing and service industries. So thanks again for joining us, and I'll turn things over to Tom.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Thank you. So we're going to be talking about the modern business and the modern cloud. If you look at this image here, these are all the different aspects that are available in the cloud. This is the current Oracle Cloud. Of course, we're not going to be talking about all of these. These are the items we'll discuss a bit. So we'll go over a little innovation management, product development, which is where we'll spend most of the time, project portfolio management, which is project management, and the product data hub. Okay, so the cloud products are now set up. They always have been, but they're trying to make things flow seamlessly now. So you're able to innovate, develop, and commercialize the full product. And this is what they call the I2C, innovation to commercialization. So in that, of course, you've got the innovation management, the product development, and the product hub. And this allows you to share the information across all the applications and still talk to other tools, other applications, either in the cloud or on-premise. So you can have a hybrid configuration. Okay, so some of the benefits, you get some quality improvements. One of the big things is you get data and process management and collaboration. So the data is stored in what they call the product data hub. So the great thing about it is you can check the quality of the data in the database, and then all the applications are using and sharing the same data in the same database. So you don't have multiple places to go. You get cost reduction out of this. So you get reduced prototyping and scrap, centralized data, which is what I was just talking about. Data synchronized to the product across all the systems. Much easier to collaborate, both internally and externally. There's built-in portals that are available for external collaboration. And again, everybody's talking using the same data at the same time from the same place. You can automate your processes. So you can reduce a lot of the manual processes, or actually get rid of a lot of the manual processes. You can get automatic alerts, notifications, workflow triggers, and lots of other things. The data governance goes back to the centralized data and the quality improvement idea. So you can apply rules as the data is being input. And these are more in-depth rules than what you might have had if you were using Agile. So for instance, Agile would tell you, yeah, you've got to put some information in this attribute to be able to continue. The rules within the cloud now actually allow you to say, well, you have to have something in the field, but it has to have, if it's a number, it has to be greater than a minimum and less than a maximum, for instance. So you can actually apply rules against the content of the fields. You get an improved return on investment, and you accelerate the time to launch. This is with your product. Since everything's tied together, less confusion with data, all the processes work hand in hand. It helps a lot with getting things through in a much quicker process. Okay, so having said that, here is an idea, kind of a drawing of the whole flow from idea to commercialization. So you can see over here in the curve, we've got places to capture ideas. You can put in your proposals and capture requirements. You can turn some of those into concepts, moving into your portfolio management. So you can be looking at all the different projects that you may be working on internally, whether they're already moving closer to production or they're still back in the ideation phase. You can see all that. You've got full project management built into the system. So the projects can oversee all of the ideation and gathering the requirements, as well as when you start getting into the actual product development. So the project management covers the full spectrum. Now you can get into product development. So you've got developing the ideas and the bombs. So you've got configuration management, change management, document control, structures. We'll get into all of these in a little bit. You've got a full quality system built into the system. It's got a lot more capabilities than Agile had. And then all of that information can be used, again, it's all in the centralized database. So all your supply chain, manufacturing, inventory orgs, all of that is tied into the same database. So what this does, again, it comes back to the full innovate, develop, and commercialize. You can do all of it or parts of it in the cloud. You also have capabilities for doing analytics. You've got the full Oracle BI engine in the system. You can be looking at the big data. You've got socialization built into the scene. So you can be sending instant messages back and forth and communicating, collaborating right within the system. So you don't have to leave, go and write an email and send it to somebody. You can socialize right there. And then the system out of the box is set up for using mobile devices. So tablets and the like, they can be tied right into the system without having to add any new software or anything. So from there, we jump into the product development, otherwise known as PD. when you get in and look at some of the information. So within here, you've got items, and items within, just like other systems, are parts and documents. They've got what they call structures now. They've modified the term. This used to be bills of material or BOMs. It's now called structures because the intent is the structure now contains all information required to manufacture the product. So it's not just the parts list. It's not just the old version of the BOM. It can have standard operating procedures, work instructions, calibration information, pieces of equipment, employee records, all kinds of information tied into the system. And along with that, you've got, of course, full change management, revision control, version control of attachments, life cycle phases, all of that. And you've got the manufacturing commercialization again. So once you get to the proper phase, again, everything's tied into the centralized database. So you don't necessarily have to transfer information or load it in someplace else. The data is there and you're ready to go. And then you've got a lot of capabilities in the system for product readiness. So there's things where you can grade the product. It basically goes in and makes sure that you've got suppliers for all the products. You can set up rules, like if you need a primary and a secondary supplier, you can. The system will tell you that. Do you have the manufacturer's information that you need, and so on. So a lot of all the information typically required, as well as doing tests, your data governance on all the attributes, all the fields and data, to make sure all the data is actually filled in when you need it so that you can go to the next stage. The product hub, this is the centralized database for everything. So this is kind of where all the communications happen. So you're doing things like the commercialization. When you go from the ideation into the product development and then into commercialization, you're using all the same database. So the data is there, it's available to the appropriate people when and where they need it. So again, you don't have to go out and find the data. You're not talking about multiple sources for the data. So the data governance is very high. It can be very strict. And the capacity for everybody to be talking about the same thing at the same time is there because they're all using the same database. You can also get into the sales commercialization. And again, the data governance and publication, there's a lot of things you can do with the data once it's in the database. Like you can create catalogs, you can publish catalogs right from the system to your web page. If that's what you want. So getting over here to your catalogs and your digital assets, you can actually publish direct out to various applications that may be using this, like your web page, your corporate web page. You may have other portals where customers can come in. Say you're working with large customers like a Walmart or somebody like that. Walmart can come directly into your supplier portal or your customer portal and actually do all their transactions there. So they can place sales orders, they can check the status of things, everything that's going on with the orders. You can make that visible to them. And of course, control what they get to see and don't get to see. So Product Hub is the central point for all the communications that are going on. So here's some of the use cases. So you've got the product information management. So all the item management, you can send information to either the cloud ERP, other processes, on-premise products. So you're not locked in. It's just this is the central hub for all the communications for the various pieces. You've got the omni-channel commerce in here. So you can get vendor data, onboarding, bringing that into the system. You can have different product definitions for channels and geographies. And like I was saying earlier, you can automatically publish the data to the web and other e-commerce applications. Consolidating the data in one place, again, comes back partly to the data governance. and you can do all your integrations through the product hub. So for instance, we're going to talk a bit about some integrations. So we have integrations to various ERP systems, CRMs, CAD systems, mechanical and electrical CAD systems, and basically they're all communicating through this product hub. And then getting back to this, the product value chain, the supply chain and manufacturing readiness. Again, since all the data is in one place, it makes it easier to validate and make sure the data is complete before you actually go and release it to full manufacturing. Okay, so here is a blow-up of the quality management in the cloud. So what it's basically coming down is you can define, identify, analyze, and correct all your quality issues. So some of the things, one of the big things this system has over something like the Agile quality management is you can actually put inspection plans into the system, and actually as you're doing the inspections, you can capture the data right in the system as part of the quality system. So you might ask, you know, why do I need to do that? I'm already doing that in other places, or I have forms to fill out. Well, the beauty of this system, all of this information is captured and it goes into the product hub, into the PIM system. Then what can happen is, since your inspection results are in there and you've got the inspection plans, which talks about, you know, pass fail criteria, things like that, the data is now in the system and you can make automation and determination of what you're going to do, for instance, with inventory management. Say you do an inspection and the inspection of this lot fails. Well, you can automatically say, okay, this lot needs to be quarantined. I'm going to put it in a different inventory area. From there, I'm going to generate a quality issue, a non-conformance, a problem report. That problem report may be automatically sent out to the supplier and notifying them of what's going on. You can automatically trigger a material review board process if you want, review the data, make concessions, or decide what you're going to do. Are you going to apply a supplier corrective action? Things like that. So having all the data in one place, again, allows you to add higher quality to the processes and automate a lot of the process. So you don't have to have people out there making decisions all the time about what you're going to do based on other data that's coming in. And again, having the data in one place, you know, your inspection results, now you get into an MRB, and the MRB has got direct access to all the data, everything that's gone on, so they can get a full picture of the entire universe. So much faster interactions. And again, you can set up business rules, business processes where the system can make a lot of the decisions for you and bring in people when and if needed. Okay, you've got in the system, I was saying earlier, you've got the full business intelligence that's provided by Oracle that's built into the system. So every time you go into a different part of the system, a different application. So up here we're in the quality system. This is the overview tab that you get, and right out of the box you've got access to all the things that are going on. So you've got issues by severity, issues by age, so you can see what's being acted on, what's not acted on, issues that have not been assigned to somebody, things that have to do with receiving inspection, work in progress inspection, and so on. So you've got right at your fingertips, you just go into the system and the first thing you see is this overview page. So it's great. You've got much simpler interface than you had with other systems, and the information that's available at your fingertips is far superior to a lot of the other applications that are available out there. This is all configurable. You can add to the infolets. You can create your own dashboards. A lot of things you can do for reporting. Along with we're still in the quality section. So what we're looking at here, we're looking at a form of a corrective action. So you've got a lot of pieces of information. You've got a lot of detailed infolets at the top, so summary information. And then you click the little arrows here and it takes you into more and more of the details. So what we've done over here, when you first go to the top page, it's going to show you the summary of everything, including where you are in the particular workflow. So I'm at the second status. If I want to see everything that's going on, I just click the little arrow here. It expands the page, and now I can see all the detail. So they've done two things with the interfaces. They've really simplified them. So when you first come into the pages, you're getting a high-level summary view of what's going on. The second thing is now when you want to dive into something, it's very simple. You literally just come and click on the arrow and you can dive in and see as much detail or as little detail as you're interested in. The other thing that we're showing on this page is you've got the socialization. So you've got the Oracle Social Network. It's like I say, it's essentially instant messaging. But the great thing about this is this trail of the messages is tied directly to this particular object. So all of your conversations with people become part of the history of this particular object. So your corrective action, if you're collaborating with people, you can be sending text back and forth. You can send photographs, pictures, file attachments, and then just conversations. And you can have as many people as part of the conversation as you want. You can track what they're doing. And then all of this is, like I say, is directly tied back to this object. So anytime in the future you want to get history or look something up, you can open up this and go to the socialization and find all the collaboration, all the discussions that were going on in relation to this. And the social network works with pretty much everything. So parts, documents, change orders, all your quality activities, project management, it's there, and it's one of the underlying features for the whole system. Okay, a little bit about the cloud PPM, the project management. So you've got project execution, and this is again all tied back into all the aspects of the cloud. So if you're doing ideation and you're gathering requirements, that can be part of the project. So all the upfront work that you would typically do as a project is automatically there and tied together. It's got a full financial management aspect to it. So you can manage resources, planned budgets, actual budgets, timesheets, time that's going in and reported from your resources, things like that. And again, since all of this is in the central product data hub, when you want to run reports and things, when you're using the business intelligence, it's all real time. It's not like some of the other tools or the historical tools where the database for the reporting gets updated, say, every 24 hours. So you add your data in and you have to come back tomorrow before you can run the actual report. In this system, as you enter the data, it's automatically put into the proper structure in the underlying database. So I can enter a new quality issue or change something in program execution. As soon as I enter it, I can go out and run the report and I get the updated report. So, you know, there might be a delay of 10 seconds or something, but you don't have to wait 24 hours to get it. And that's all about the project analytics and the insight down here. So all of this is built in. The analytics and insight is across the board, no matter what application you deploy in the cloud. You get the analytics and reporting. And then financial management and project management is in the cloud PPM. So here's an updated view and more magnified. So you can see you've got full, in this case, full Gantt chart capabilities, as well as the ability to do your collaboration on things. And you can see down here, this person is sending information back and they're actually putting in drawings, screenshots, whatever it takes to get the information in there. So full project management, full program and portfolio management is capable in here. It's a much more powerful system than what's available in the Agile PLM system. Okay, you've got the capability for controlling your resources, full resource management, and you can do things by, competency, languages, locations, roles within the project. You can match your resources. You can see the loading of the resources by time, location. So very, very powerful engine for managing the resources across the entire project. Again, all built in out of the box with the PPM. So we're going to jump in and talk about a little bit about an upgrade journey. If you're on a current on-prem system like Agile PLM, we've got processes to help you migrate into the cloud. It's actually pretty straightforward now. We've been working on this for almost 3 years, putting all the tools and processes in place. So here's a typical timeline to do the full move. The actual moving is pretty quick, but doing things like modifying any configurations that you want to see. If you've got process extensions, converting them over to get them to work in the system, into the PaaS system, platform as a service. We still go through upgrade training and the migration workshops. So, this is what you were doing in your current system. Do you want to exactly bring it over like that into the new system, or do you want to do any changes while we're doing this? All the way through the detailed configurations. We take care of all this. We do all the heavy lifting for you. Come back and load your data. So there's 2 parts to the migrator, and we'll show that in just a second, but there's the configuration load and then the data load that goes with it. We do go through validation, so conference room testing. When everything is ready to go, we'll go through a user acceptance test, get a larger group of people looking at what we've done. And as part of this, and then moving on to going live, there's end user training. It is a new system. It's got a new and updated user interface for the system. So we just want to make sure everybody is up to speed and knows how to navigate and use the system. Typically, when we're doing a migration from on-prem into the cloud, you're not really changing your business processes. So you don't have to go too deep into that, but you do have to make sure people understand how the tool works, where to find the information, how to get to where they need, how to do things like sign-offs. So we go over all of that for the end user training. And then we do the final migration of the data and the configuration, and we go live. So in this case, you're looking at 10, 14, 16 weeks, depending on the resource availability on your side. This can be brought down, to 8 weeks if we need to. 16 weeks, I think, is the longest that we've taken for a particular customer to migrate them from on-prem into the cloud. So it's pretty fast, pretty efficient. And like I said, we've developed a lot of tools to automate the process. So again, things like the data governance, the error checking, the validation, a lot of the validation is done during the transfer of the information from one system to another. So the GoSaaS Migrator, that we call it, moving essentially from one data system to another data system. As I said, we've got 2 components, the configuration and the data. The configuration migrator just uses the AGL files that you can get out of Agile, create the configuration package. And then we've got a series of tools that we use to do any conversions. For instance, moving the security system from on-prem into the cloud, the security systems under the covers behave differently. So we just have to do some transformations to get it to load into the cloud. And then same with the data migrator. It's got the underlying product hub, but the table spaces are set up differently in the databases. So we just do a little transform to get the data to go into the right table. And then the data that we load, everything comes into essentially product data hub. And then product development is talking directly to the product data hub. So everything comes over, you get all your BOMs, items, parts, documents, AML, the changes, attachments, everything comes over. And then again, this is for moving like Agile into the cloud. So a nice, robust and reliable transition. It has become very stable over the last couple of years, and very repeatable. Okay, so talking a little bit about a hybrid approach. Some customers are not ready to commit to moving completely into the cloud. So one of the things we can do is keep the core PC, core Agile things in A9, and then add the additional functionality. Basically, we integrate core functions of the cloud with on-premise PC. So what we've got that going. Again, that's we can either move everything from on-prem into the cloud or just parts of it. The innovation management applications in here. For instance, you can do IM in the cloud and then integrate that to Agile PC if you're not ready to move your PLM system into the cloud yet. So you can get the full capability of the full innovation management, and then instead of going into the cloud PLM, we just go to the on-prem PLM. So you're able to do hybrid approaches all the way through. Okay, so you can add a lot of the functionality that's available in the cloud. You can add it to A9. So like I just showed you, innovation management, the product data hub, you can integrate Agile into that, and then that can be your hub that talks to various other applications. It can provide you with the supplier or the customer portal, and you can set up a read-only portal, so you don't have to have things like SharePoint anymore. You can have actually everything controlled within the PLM system and just make it available for people to get into. You've got your full quality processes. Again, you can have quality in the cloud and keep PLM on-prem. And then one of the big ones is the cloud PPM. Since you've got so many more capabilities like resource and financial management, as well as a much more sophisticated project management, you can tie that to the cloud. You can either use it in the cloud or tie it back to Agile and use that to do your project management. Okay, so we'll talk real quickly about some of the GoSaaS products. And these products are all set up to work in the cloud. They work on what they call PaaS, Platform as a Service. So they get installed, essentially deployed, and they look like they're part of the cloud. You don't need other servers. You don't need a bunch of on-premise things to make it work. It just becomes part of your cloud implementation. Okay, so one of them, we have a point solution employee training system. This is essentially a learning management system as well as the training record management system. So you can run this, your employees, external suppliers if you want, basically any place that you have people that you need to get training can use this application. So what it allows you to do is, as the training manager or human resources, you can come in and define what training is required. And this can be based on information that's stored within the PLM system, like standard operating procedures, work instructions, policies, procedures. All of that can be stored in the system, and then that can be used as the training references for the employees. You may also decide you want to create your own training, so you can do things like videos. It's got the capability for tests, so you can provide questions to people. They have to answer them. You can actually score everything, and then once the user passes all the required tests and things, the system will keep track of that back in the system. The employee record is essentially under change management. So every time they pass a new chapter in their training, it goes back into the system. The employee record gets revised. It actually spins it, gives it a new revision to it. So now you've got the full audit trail for the employee all the way back to when they began with the system. The system has got some nice dashboards. So you log into it, and just like the rest of the cloud, it comes up and gives you basic information that you, as the person being trained, need to see. You know, for instance, overdue trainings, any training that's currently in progress. You can see all the assigned trainings down here. You've got various pieces of information, status information. The employees, if you give them the rights, they can see if they're looking for a promotion, for instance, they can see what the requirements would be to move into another slot. And they can begin looking at that in parallel with all the things that are required to get their daily job done. So you've got multiple interfaces. You're seeing the trainee dashboard. You've got the training manager has got a different dashboard so they can overview everything. You've got the key capability for instance, like operating procedures. You might have to have people review them on an annual basis. Well, the system has the capability where you can automatically assign the next date that people have to review this, and it will automatically send notifications out and then trigger things so the employees can come in and start doing the training. So very flexible, very nice, simple user interface on the ETS. We've got an environmental governance and compliance system. So this is where you can control things like if you look down here, you've got your REACH, California Prop 65, RoHS, and various others, conflict minerals. So it's, again, a nice interface to your bills of materials and your items within PDH. So you can capture all the regulatory information that you need. And it captures everything from just a certificate of compliance all the way up through a full material declaration. And all the data is stored right there along with the products. And then it's got various roll-up engines built into the system. So as you add a new component into a structure or a bill of material, you can automatically have it roll up and tell you if the top product is certified. Does it meet the regulatory requirements for sending it to Japan or China or the EU? Because all the data is there and available at your fingertips. It's got a supplier interface, a nice supplier portal, and then it's got a internal manager interface. So you can request declarations, you can see the status of all the requests. You can automatically send out reminders to your suppliers if they haven't answered you by the time that you wanted it. So a lot of the things are automated. And then as far as the regulations, there's about 24 regulations already built into the system and defined. And then the corporate users can go in and define their own regulations. So you're not limited to what's there out of the box. Customers may have their own regulation requirements. Customers, companies, different countries, all of that can be maintained and monitored and controlled in the system. Okay, then we have a whole set of integrations. I alluded to this earlier. So we've got ERP integrations. We've got MCAD integrations. So we've got SolidWorks is up and running, and we're working on several more. So this is continuing. We've got ECAD, so we've got two-way integrations with DX Designer, OrCAD, Altium, and actually several others now. And then we've got other adapters, so we can have the system talk to Jira if you're using Jira for software development, project management, bug tracking. All of that can be tied right into the cloud. And then we've got a whole series of custom applications. So we can talk to other databases, file-based integrations. Some of it can come back to the CAD systems. As I said earlier, CRM systems. We've got a lot of those set up. There's quite a few integrations already available. And with the state of most applications these days, almost everything has got a full set of APIs. So if an integration is needed to a tool that we haven't already done it, I think the longest a new integration has taken us in the last 8 months is about 3 weeks to get the integration up and running, even for a custom integration. So lots of capabilities there. Okay, the integration, again, just like all the others, has got a very nice dashboard interface. You pop it up, it tells you exactly where you are, what's going on. It can be scheduled, so it's once every 12 or 24 hours it's syncing the various systems, or it can be done basically real time. When you release a change order, for instance, it can in real time push the data over to your ERP and also pull information back from the ERP so it's available in the product data hub. So we followed the same flow that most of the cloud does. Every time you open up an application, you get nice infolets, so you don't have to drill down. You can see the summary of everything that's going on here. Okay, so some next steps. That's basically it for the real presentation. So we can do some different things here in the next steps. We can schedule some assessment workshops for you, whether you're looking to move and migrate from an on-premise system into the cloud, or you're brand new and you just need to get into a product development, PLM, ideation, all of that. You need to get into that. We can map your on-premises modules to cloud modules. Talk about any additional functionality, whether it's new or just moving things over. And then the output of this is, an upgrade project plan and detailed proposals with resource needs and costing and everything else that would go on with that. Okay, and from here, I'll turn it back over to Megan. Megan, if you want to jump in here.
Great, yes, thank you, Tom. Just wanted to share the upcoming events that we have next month. For those of you who aren't aware, the Modern Business Experience that Oracle is hosting is taking place March 19th through the 21st in Las Vegas at the Mandalay Bay Convention Center. We will be exhibiting there and showing demos of all of the topics that we covered today. So if you are planning to attend or haven't registered yet, please go ahead and do so. And we hope to see you. Our booth is PLM-06, so we hope to see you there. Also, in case you are joining or you will be in the Las Vegas area, on that first date, March 19th, we will be conducting separate PLM sessions from 8:30 to about 1 o'clock at the Delano Hotel. It's right next door to the Mandalay Bay. We do have one of our customers who will be attending and presenting. There'll be about 11:30 to 1 o'clock lunch and learn session. This is a customer who migrated from A9 to Cloud PLM and is happy to share his positive experiences with that. So as soon as we have that information, which will be early next week, we'll be sharing that via email. And here's our contact information for any questions that you have. The best way to get a hold of us is email or phone, or check us out on our website. And we've had quite a few questions come through, so we'll go ahead and end the session with Q&A. So the first question that we had come through was from Scott, and he was asking, Tom, how do you integrate data to other systems, SaaS or on-prem?
That basically comes back to that X engine that I was talking about. There's two aspects to it. One is an integration to the product data hub. So that's a consistent piece that's used in most of the integrations. And then there's an adapter that goes to the actual on-prem tool that we're looking at. So, if you're looking at ERP versus PLM versus CRM, each one of those has its own requirements. So there's just a simple little adapter to do transformations and put some business logic into the system. Most of the work is done. It's actually pretty straightforward in the admin tool that we've got. Basically, the system brings up all of the attribution that's available in Product Data Hub, and then it reads the attribution that's available in the system you want to integrate to. It sets up 2 columns, and you just drag and drop to do the attribute mapping from one system to the other. Once you've got the attribute mapping done, then you just go into another page and you can apply business logic. Like, do you have to do transforms? Do you have to break up a description field into multiple pieces, things like that. So it's actually pretty straightforward. And it's written in such a way, once we show you how to do it and we do the original configuration, you don't need to depend on GoSaaS to come out and make any changes for you. It's intended to be the capability to provide self-sufficiency in the system. So again, you don't have to depend on us moving into the future. Okay.
Great.
Next.
The next question, I can actually answer that one, was will the deck be available to attendees? And that is yes. We'll be emailing everyone a survey after the webinar. If you fill out that quick survey, you'll automatically receive the slide deck from today, as well as a copy of the recording. Right. Thanks for that. Next one. The Oracle Cloud strategy makes sense on paper, but are they really ready and fully enabled to fulfill the I2C set of processes? This customer seems to be concerned that the current products are not quite ready for prime time based on some initial experience with PDH. Is there a capability mapping available between on-prem versions and any regressions or gaps that may have been identified?
So it's kind of a tricky, loaded question. So first of all, there are slight holes here and there in the cloud compared to on-prem, but the opposite is also true. The cloud has got more functionality than many of the on-prem products do. So part of it comes down to your business process and what you're trying to do. Typically, we haven't really come across anything we couldn't get done in the cloud. Occasionally, we have to put a workaround in it, and we can look at the future releases that are scheduled for the cloud products and say, okay, well, we're missing this functionality, but it's due to be released this June, so we can see where it is on the schedule. And then if there's other hard things that you just can't wait for, we've got a lot of workarounds until the official release gets done in the software. But then again, depending on what you're trying to do, the cloud may have solutions for it that are just different from what you're used to. So you may just take a different approach to get the same thing done. It comes down to training and configuration. But there's a lot of solutions that people are just not used to because they're not used to working in the cloud. So I hope that kind of answers that it's software. The cloud is not perfect. It has come a long way in the last couple of years, and literally every quarter there are improvements made to the system. That's part of the beauty of being in the cloud. They're constantly working on it, and every quarter there's an update released. Okay.
All right, thanks, Tom. Next question from John is, can an item structure be exported to a PDX file?
It's got the capability right now to export to an Excel spreadsheet, but it's my understanding there's at least one third party that is basically taking that and using the export to create a PDH. So out of the box right now, it's just looking at spreadsheets and comma separated value type files, but there are partners that are working on PDH solutions. Okay.
All right. Next one, does PDH have the equivalent of subclasses for items and changes which can be created / customized?
Yes, and this is one of those places where you've got almost infinitely better capabilities than you do in Agile. So for instance, in Agile, you can have base class, class, and subclass. In the cloud, you're not limited to those 3 levels. You can go as many levels deep as you want. I've got examples where I've taken it out to 16 levels deep instead of just the 3 levels. So a lot more capability there. And then you've got all the same capabilities. Not only can you create subclasses within subclasses within subclasses, you've got all the attribution. On change orders, you've got full control over workflows, whatever you need to do, as well as the attribution. So a lot more capability than you've got with the on-prem system.
All right, thanks for that. Next one, does PD have an equivalent to the approval matrix feature in Agile?
Yes, but they don't call it the approval matrix. And actually right now I don't remember its name, but it's got the same functionality, the same capabilities. It's just called something different.
All right, thanks. Next question, what does the migration look like for original Oracle PIM customers, not Agile?
That one is actually fairly straightforward because Product Data Hub is actually the evolution of the PIM product that Oracle's had out there for 20 some years. So the evolution from an on-prem PIM into the cloud PIM is actually pretty straightforward. There is a little transformation, you know, it's been upgraded. You've got more security features, but it's pretty straightforward to go from PIM to PIM.
All right. Next question from Frank. How will cloud work with deployments of ACS and product integration pack, PIP to EBS?
How will it work? I'm not sure I understand the question. Will the upgrades be synchronized? There's a lot of possible answers for that question. Maybe we should take that one offline and actually get into some more details. We can set up a two-way conversation if you want, and go over that, okay, just so I make sure I'm understanding and answering the question correctly.
Great. So Frank will be in touch with you offline. Next question. Are process extension options going away, or will they be replaced?
Well, if you're staying with on-prem Agile, process extensions will continue. If you're moving totally into the cloud, what they've done is instead of, or the concept of process extensions now are similar aspects, and they go into what they call the PaaS solution, the platform as a service. So the platform gives you a developer's methodology. There's a full set of APIs into the cloud, so you can continue to develop your own essentially customizations. And one of the things we do when we're migrating from an on-prem Agile into the cloud, we'll review your current process extensions. With a lot of the new functionality in the cloud, a lot of things that people did PXs for are not required anymore. So for instance, you've got an automatic description generator. So if you're putting attribute data into multiple attributes, and then you've got a PX that creates the description from that, those kinds of functions are built into the system now. So you don't have to write custom software. So we find when we're doing a migration and customers have got a lot of PXs, I would say on average about 50% of the PXs they've got just go away because the functionality is in the system. We still have to go in and configure things, but it's not software that's sitting out of the system. It's actually built right into the heart. So it just depends on what you're trying to get done. And then migrating the process extensions, if they're written in Java or something like that, they pretty much come over. We may have to modify them slightly so they're using the new APIs, but it's not like you have to come in and start over from scratch on everything. So the migration is pretty fluid. Okay.
All right. Thank you. Next question from Bob. Is the employee training feature a GoSaaS product, or is it included with PDH licenses?
It's a GoSaaS product. So Some customers want it and other customers don't. So it's just it's like another module in the cloud. It's just another addition. It's got its own licensing, and it talks directly into PDH.
All right, thank you. Next question. Once we are on PLM Cloud, do we / the customer have any control on the upgrade to the next version of PLM Cloud, or are we forced when Oracle chooses to do it?
It's kind of a combination of the two. You can opt out of a particular upgrade, but sooner or later it will catch up. So for instance, as I said earlier, once a quarter they provide upgrades to your environment. So if you're, for instance, FDA regulated and you have to go in and do validations, you can go in and schedule where they do an upgrade, say in your dev or QA environment. You can do the validations, and when you're ready, you can schedule the production environment to be upgraded. Oracle won't let you get multiple versions behind. They're trying to keep everybody basically at the same, but they realize there's certain constraints. So they do their best to work with you, and you have feedback and control over when they actually do the upgrades. So it's not like they just come in and suddenly you get a message that your system's been upgraded. You have interface to that. Okay.
All right, thank you for that. We still have quite a few questions, so thank you guys for submitting those. Leon's asking, to use Product Development Hub, are you required to have, or I think he means to use Product Data Hub, are you required to have product development?
No, Product Data Hub can be a standalone product. You can use it for the hub to, just set up integrations between various other applications like on-prem applications. Product data or product development does pretty much depend on Product Data Hub, but Product Data Hub can be a standalone product.
All right, thanks for that. Ted is asking, we are storing all of our CAD data in Agile via Agile EC. We have performance concerns about moving that to the cloud. Can just the Agile file vault remain on-prem?
Currently, they're looking into that, whether they can do a distributed file manager or not. Right now, that's kind of one of the limitations. They're putting the CAD data up into a centralized location. One of the solutions we've got with our integrations is actually storing all the source files in, for instance, if you're using SolidWorks, storing the source files in EPDM, because you can share those files with multiple versions of EPDM, and then the files that you're actually going to release or collaborate on, those get moved up into the PLM file vault. So this is one of those where a final solution isn't necessarily there, but we've got workarounds, and we can discuss those and see how they work. And we've deployed those at multiple customers now, and they seem to be working out. It's just a different process, little different configuration, and some training on how to use the new process.
Great. I'll go ahead and ask one last question here, and then there's quite a few that we weren't able to get to, so we'll be sure to follow up with those of you who submitted questions that we didn't get a chance to respond to via email. This last question is from Chris. Is EG&C developed by you or Oracle, and is it priced separately? Also, how do you keep up with the changes or updates to regulatory requirements that is mandated? For example, there is a new row house 3 compliance that comes into effect starting July 2019.
Right, okay, so multiple questions in there. So first of all, we created, we being GoSaaS, created the EGS at the request of Oracle. It wasn't on their short-term roadmap, but they recognized that we're going to need that product. So Oracle actually came to us as part of their strategy and asked us to develop it because we've been a long-time partner. It is a separate module, separate pricing for it, because again, not every customer wants it, so you only pay for what you need in the system. As far as the upkeep and the maintenance, there's multiple models. One is you get the product, you get the out-of-the-box regulations and everything that's set up, and then you're responsible for maintaining it from there on out. We have a service where we have, out of our 120 employees, we have some people that are focused on just the regulatory requirements for the world. So we can set up a maintenance and support contract where we do the maintenance for you. And then we have integrations to third-party databases like Silicon Expert, where you can tie into their database, and they've got a whole staff of people that are keeping up on the various regulations. So the regulatory product, our regulatory product, can talk to the third-party databases and automatically pull data in, or you can make requests and go out and get pull in information from the third party. So multiple ways to do it, all the way from you controlling it through a fully automated process. Okay.
Great, thanks, Tom. And it looks like this is all the time we have left for today. Thanks again for joining, and have a great rest of your day.